Well, the city of Miami, Florida, on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean is a great vacation spot, but it's going to be no easy Sunday drive for the Area Truck Series playoffs competitors that have made it to the Final Four in the championship. Tonight, it's winner take all, or I guess highest finishing takes all. Whichever of the four drivers finishes ahead of the other will win the 2023 Area Truck Series Championship. Welcome aboard, welcome to Miami, and welcome to Sim TV. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn. Connor, tonight we go racing one final time in a 120-lap race at Homestead Miami Speedway. Last night, tons of drama, but the champion was the one where perhaps we expected. Do you expect the same tonight, or do you expect that maybe an underdog can steal one here in this East Coast oasis?
I think last night we saw the guys who were the cream of the crop all season long come to fruition and come to the top of the field. Scioli and Jake Nichols, they were pretty much untouchable all race long, but I think it's going to be a different story tonight. I think all four drivers have an even shot tonight. Scioli's obviously been dominant in the trucks as of late, and he's been dominant all season long. That's the reason he had a shot to win all three titles, but I think anyone can win tonight. The truck series is a lot more tight when it comes to these types of tracks, so I think we're going to see a lot of action tonight.
Well, you mentioned our championship four, one of them at least, James Scioli in the number 7. They're lit up in gold on the timing and scoring. It's the 7, it's the 4, it's the 29, and the 28. Scioli, Cameron Hearn, David Weishart, and Travis Beckner. Those are your championship 4 competitors. And as we saw last night, things can get pretty physical, but we're 20 laps shorter of a race tonight as well, and only 21 competitors, one of which will be a start in park. So you can imagine there'd be a lot of green flag racing, Connor, but we thought that last night too, and we had quite a few yellows that broke up the action and made things pretty unpredictable, especially towards the end.
And most of the yellows, a few of them came from restarts. There are some here or there that just came from drivers not managing the tires as well and big slides. So I think you're going to see even more wild stuff happen tonight. There is a smaller field, obviously, than we saw with the Cup Series, but also, like you said, it's 20 laps shorter. So it's going to be a much more frantic on the start and the restarts. It's going to be winner take all, obviously. Everyone's going to be trying to jockey for position immediately, and I think we're going to see a few more lanes be at hand tonight. I think we're going to see that top lane maybe come in a little bit more, so I think things could get much more wild tonight, especially with the drama we've seen in the truck series specifically the last few weeks.
Yeah, James Scioli, second fastest here in practice, but just Brad Slaughter Jr. basically tied with him on the timing and scoring. Scioli's got 6 wins in 14 starts on the season. Weishart has 3 wins, Cameron Hearn has 2, and Travis Beckner has 1. We saw a driver that didn't have the most wins win last night, the championship that is, and the race, but with that race win, he tied it up. David Weishart is kind of in that position tonight, but he can't even tie. He's got 3 wins, as I mentioned, to Scioli's 6. So the track's going to change. The strategy is going to be kind of ever-present and changing throughout the night. But you mentioned this high line. And speaking of it coming in later, we saw drivers using it last night. Connor, what was happening last night that made it not maybe the always preferred line, especially at the tail end of the race?
I think it was really just a diffuser on the Cup cars. Those things get so low and they do not react over the bumps very well. So it made turns 1 and 2, you could kind of do it, but there was a bump on exit. If you hit it wrong, you would shoot up the track still. That caught me out one time, almost hit the wall. And turns 3 and 4 was virtually unusable because there's an even bigger bump in the middle of turns 3 and 4. If you were on the throttle once you went over that, you were going to spin out. Now we're going to see those bumps come into play again, but the trucks and the Pro Series car that we're going to see on Thursday night can handle those much better than the Cup car, just because they don't have the diffuser to work with. So I think that's why we're going to see that top line be even more of a factor tonight.
Well, race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all Area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat and earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise. Just go to twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Qualifying underway, and with a 21 truck field, I wouldn't consider this incredibly critical, Connor, but I would say that you're much better off if you start up towards the front. Now, last night we had kind of 2 pairs. It was Scioli and Jake Nichols. They started up at the front, and then the other 2, JT Poole and Seth Knoll, they started kind of at the back half of the top 10, and gradually they worked to the point where everybody was in the top 5. Predictions tonight on how that's going to happen.
I think you're just going to have to be very, very aggressive, more than we saw last night, if those drivers want to be at the front if they don't qualify well. But I still think qualifying is going to matter a little bit. Much shorter race, so you really don't want to start outside the top 10, even if you're one of those Champ 4 drivers. If you see Travis Beckner on track right now, you really don't want to have to make up time in a hurry with 20 less laps. We saw last night you had a pretty long race where those bottom two had time to get up to the front when it mattered the most. You don't really have that luxury tonight.
Eric Grant should be our first qualifier here. Tom Bourne also out on track. And here comes the number 42 across the stripe. And it's a 33.099. And Travis Beckner enters turns 1 and 2 right down on that white line. You think we're all going to qualify on the bottom and then kind of run middle 3 and 4? Or do you think you'll see some drivers drift up a little?
I don't think you'll see anyone queue on the top line, but bottom line here is always for the tire saving. So you're going to see drivers early on, if they're not in a battle, they're going to be next to that white line like we saw drivers last night. But if you need to defend even a little bit, you're going to move that groove up at least 1 lane, maybe even 2 or 3. As Beckner, see, he goes up, see if he goes fastest.
Yes.
He does for the time being, just barely faster than Tom Bourne.
All right, let's address the elephant in the room. The dramas last week at Gateway between Travis Beckner and Cameron Hearn. Do you think that's all pushed aside, Connor, or do you think that's absolutely lingering in their minds as they approach this championship against each other?
I think it's definitely lingering in their minds. They don't want to talk about it, much less even thinking about it. But if they come close to each other on track, if they're racing for position, push will come to shove. I don't think they'll be able to really do anything about that. Those two raced each other very aggressively last week. Push came to shove. One driver got spun out and only was able to get in. Both of them barely got in because of the antics. So I think you got to watch those two if they come together. But you can't forget about Scioli's part in it as well. Him and Beckner had issues as well. Scioli to Hearn, no issues there.
Whoa.
But oh, wow, that's not going to be good. Big wiggle there for Hearn. As I was talking about, the 7 and 28 could come together as well. Hearn still goes 5th, but he lost a lot of time there.
Yeah, that's going to hurt him. We'll see how it pans out. But I think, we'll get into our picks a little later for the race and for the title, but I think that is going to be a massive distraction for the 28 and for the 4. Maybe the 7 a little bit with the 28. And, should it come to push to shove between the 28 and 7, I do think there's fireworks. I think David Weishart's in the best position of anybody because he doesn't have that drama lingering over his shoulders like the other 3 do. So that 29, he's been pretty quiet generally as far as car-to-car incidents go, and I think that's going to be positive as Michael Curhan goes to the top of the board of 32.944.
You read his note for the week.
It's just a thanks for us, for the league, for the sponsors and admins, and wishing everyone good luck. So, Class C, Michael Curhan. This is the same note from last night.
I wasn't able to read it last night. It's got a few of our other Champ 4 drivers, not a few, the last 2 Champ 4 drivers on track, Weishart and Scioli, I believe, both qualifying at the same time. So these are the 2 I'm really going to look at. And I do agree with you. Weishart's been coming on strong in the Truck Series as of late with a couple of wins to his name. I think he is definitely in the catbird seat for this title. But Scioli, cannot count him out. Like you said earlier, 6 wins this season.
Well, I think, looking at stats, the 7's the obvious pick, right? But again, I just don't know. The 28 will be a factor. The 4 will be a factor. And will that be a factor enough to cause them strife? But the 7 goes right to the top of the board. And all 4 qualifiers are in. They're all in the top 10, but all spaced out. Beckner 3rd, Scioli 1st, Weishart 6th, and Cameron Hearn in 9th. But there still is a handful, about half the field, left to qualifiers. Ryan Swan in the 1 truck.
We say they're spaced out. The 3 of the top 4 are separated by
yes.
16 one-thousandths of a second.
Perspective, right?
Beckner is only separated by Scioli by like 3 one-thousandths. So that really puts Cameron Hearn as the outlier here with that big mistake as Swan goes 11th on the board after that lap. Really puts Hearn in a bad spot after a big wiggle like that. It's still a decent lap. He's still only about a 10th off the leader in Scioli, but we've seen all year long how tight qualifying is in this series. And even with a smaller truck field, big slide for Stafford there, even with a smaller field, that's going to really hurt him at the start of this race. Yeah,
Stafford's lap already kind of put in strife by that big slide in 3 and 4. We'll see if he can recover from it. Danny Ware's on track. Bryce Senesac sitting on the end of pit lane. And Jacob Bell will just be a start in park, if anything. And Bronson looks very loose.
Yeah, he's really struggling to keep the car planted. It's almost like he's getting to the throttle too early and just having to wiggle up the track. As it's tough to run that white line, but you have to do it for tire saving. But you really have to be patient on throttle and just being a little aggressive. It is qualifying after all, so trying to get everything you can, but that wall comes up in a hurry as he goes 12th out of 13 drivers.
Now, here's an interesting note. Is it a little darker than it was last night for the start of the race? I feel like we started a bit more in daytime, and with that would have come a slightly larger transition. But it feels like we're almost, I mean, the sun's almost set, and we haven't even started the race yet.
Feels sort of similar. I mean, we can still barely see the sun on the exit of turn 4 right there, but I think it is a little later, so I think just so we can get to the nighttime a little earlier. So that transition will be a little smaller as Danny Ware just went pole position. Hold the phone, that came out of nowhere.
By 1,000th of a second over James Scioli. The first 4 are all separated by a 1/1000th of a second. That's pretty dicey, but Danny Ware, that's a really impressive lap. Here's Bobby Tinch in the 54.
I wasn't expecting that at all, but as we were saying about the transition, I think we're going to see a little bit of a smaller transition just because the trucks are a little different, more downforce in the corners. So as far as I know, as far as I felt last night, it was really loose. Tinch up the track. It was really loose off on throttle when the sun was out, but once the night settled in, the lights were completely on, it tightened up very harshly. So we might see that happen tonight as Tinch goes 13th out of 15 drivers. Still a few drivers that put a time down. Senesac, Wineland, Therian is putting a time down now.
And here's Brad Slaughter in the 8, just missed advancing. You see a big slide in 3 and 4. That top lane does not have the grip for it yet. Slaughter's going to try to stop and reset. As here's Therian. He was way low exiting turn 2. That was kind of peculiar looking.
A little odd for sure as Slaughter goes back on track, but Therian going to try to end his time just below that bottom seam on your Q lap. See what he does to the line here. He just barely didn't advance as well. 33.002 puts him 9th.
And Justin Munsell joins us again. And the number 6 looks like a different colorway on this truck this time.
Miami Vice colorway, maybe. Kind of what it reminds me of.
Looks like it. And across the stripe for Justin Munsell in qualifying, it is a 32.902. Wow. And that's pole by 56 thousandths, which is a huge margin compared to everybody else. Wow.
And all these people really close in line, and then Munsell just goes half a tenth faster.
What?
That is a
what did
amazing
he do different?
lap.
That is not by a little bit.
No, that was one of the biggest pole margins of the season. If no one can top that, Brad Slaughter Jr. is on track right now into turn 3.
To put that in perspective, that gap alone is more than the gap from 2nd all the way back to 10th place combined.
That is pretty nuts. As Slaughter only goes 33.2, he is 15th position. Senesac out of turn number 4. He's had some solid Q rods this season. He will go 13th. That might be it. Oh, we do have Eric Wineland on track. He's going to be probably the last driver to put a time down. Jacob Bell just started parking, not putting a time down.
Yeah, Wineland not a playoff competitor, but I think with the strategy, he could be a factor in this, Connor.
He was last night as well. Things played into his hands, and he was almost at the front when it mattered the most last week at Gateway. So I would not be surprised if he does the same tonight. Little wiggle off of turn 4, across the line, 33.194, puts him 16th position as Justin Munsell absolutely demolishes the field in qualifying. What's he saying? All right, put that back up.
I just always choose the seats. Do not trust. Oh, the stats. Do not trust the gut, he says.
No, that kind of contradicts what I've been doing.
Well, I don't know what your gut is on who wins this title, but I don't know what mine is just yet. We'll see in just a couple minutes' time how things pan out. Race fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. Use discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com. Well, Connor, we're going to get rolling here in just a couple of minutes with the Roasted Gems coffee starting lineup, but already in qualifying, it seems like things are pretty tight in single car pace. I wonder how things will pan out once we get a feel on the racetrack and how aggressive people will be on the initial launch.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it as well. We're going to have Scioli and Beckner bumper to bumper. We saw that get pretty spicy last week when they were on the front row together, but now they've got other drivers, faster drivers, to combat at the start of this race tonight. So I think those two might get into a situation where they rough each other up, but they both of them are going to be smart about it, no doubt about it. They can't just take yourself out of a championship fight. But I'm excited to see what those two can do, and I'm also going to be paying attention to how aggressive Cameron Hearn's going to be. He was bumped all the way down to 12th when qualifying ended, so he's got a ton of work to do to catch up to the front runners for this title.
Well, let's see how desperate he will get and how quickly he will try to get to the front. Time to roll through our Roasted Gems coffee starting grid. Here we go. Row 1, it's Justin Munsell. Pole by a lot in the number 6 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. Danny Ware starts in second in the number 49.
Maybe a surprise front row, because then they get their row number 2. You see maybe the front runner for the title of 6 wins this season, James Scioli, alongside the 24 of Michael Curhan.
And starting in row number 3, it's playoff competitor Travis Beckner in the number 28. Mason Kane starts 6th in the number 31.
Tom Bourne starting 7th. He's only reason he's not in this title fight is because of a tiebreaker. He lost to Beckner. He starts alongside David Weishart, who might be in the best spot for this title if any drama ensues.
And Justin Edisogak starts 9th in the number 88. Shane Therian rolls off 10th in the 83.
Greg Mitchell in the 2 Ford starts in the 11th position alongside the furthest back of our final 4 competitors, Cameron Hearn.
And 13th place, it's Bryce Senesac in the number 09. Garrett Grant, 14th in the number 42.
Ryan Swan in the 1 truck starting in the 15th position alongside the 21 of Eric Wineland.
But then it's Brad Slaughter Jr. in the number 8 in the 17th spot. Bobby Tinch rolls off 18th in the number 54.
Slaughter, the reigning champ, won't be able to defend his crown this year. And then the final 3 competitors, Bronson Stafford and Dylan Lee, 19th and 20th, and Jacob Bell starting parking from 21st tonight.
There's your Roasted Gems coffee starting grid, and Brad Slaughter and James Scioli waiting a while to get on the grid here. And are there any fuel savings there, Connor, if you just wait to grid and fire up your engine? Is that worth anything, or do you think that there's something else at play?
I'm not sure if there's anything really to it. Scioli loads in, Slaughter does as well. I mean, if you load in that early, you can just shut your car off, and I don't think it'll make that much of a difference. So it may be gamesmanship, if anything. Backing up on the start line, there's definitely some tire conservation to that, but I don't think there's anything to that.
All right, pick me your favorite for the race and for the title, Connor. I'm going to go first. I'm going to pick that 29 of David Weishart for the reasons I mentioned earlier, because he is fast and he doesn't have the weight of drama like the other 3 do after their run-ins last week at Gateway.
Yeah, I've been waiting a few weeks to pick this guy. I know he's involved in the drama a little bit as well, but I just think he's going to be able to kind of persevere through that and just not let it affect him as much. Got to go with James Scioli. I will trust Wineland on this one. You got to go with the stats, and Scioli has been great this season. Well, in the playoffs, he's had drama with the 28. I don't think he's going to let it affect him tonight. I
do think the race winner will be different, and I think the race winner is going to be your pole sitter, Justin Munsell. He has been so close so many times. He's owed one, and he had a rocket ship of a fast lap there in qualifying. It's title time. 120 laps, about an hour worth of racing. That is going to determine your champion. The highest finishing of the final 4 competitors is your champion. 120 laps from now, green flag flies, and we're racing in Homestead, Miami. Oh, spin behind him. Cameron Hearn misses it.
Man.
Caution out, lap 1, the 83 Ethereum goes around.
Oh, Slaughter goes for a slide as well. I was trying to look for where our title contenders were, but yes, Cameron Hearn somehow dodged all that. Mason Kane, not Mason Kane, Ryan Swan.
Oh, he did get a little bit of it though, Connor.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how much it's going to hurt though. I don't see anything visually on the truck. But Mason Kane slid all on his own there, just lost it. This is one of the worst tracks for cold tires into turn 1, as he did give the 83 a big shot there. But maybe if it was dead on the front end, it won't hurt him as much. But that damaged a lot of trucks.
Yeah, that was a whole bunch of pushing and shoving there. Cameron Hearn's truck looks okay visually.
Could
I don't see any damage at all, so he might have gotten away with that one.
Could also look different. I've always seen plenty of times where what you see as a spectator is not the same as what you would see as the driver in the session. Just a little iRacing thing. But I agree with you. The front end looks good. He might have really dodged a bullet there, but a lot of drivers weren't able to. Wineland, Swan, Mason Kane obviously spun. Therian and Slaughter had some slides there as well.
Mason Kane out already. Everyone else still rolling, and see if they make a trip down to pit lane this time or if they'll stay out, and a handful do. Eric Wineland is one of them. Maybe a fuel opportunity here. Looking at our pit window, we're expecting 42 to 46 laps worth on fuel, so that's going to be a two-stopper, almost, well, certainly a two-stop strategy, but this is just going to punt that first pit stop a lap. I mean, this is a nothing burger as far as fuel strategy goes.
It just lets you go a little longer in case you really want to play for it. Yellow coming out under green flag stops, but definitely doesn't cut a stop out of it. We'd have to get to around lap 20 to have a yellow that might have that happen, but even then it would be a stretch. So pretty solidly a two-stop here as the top 5 or so got away with that unscathed behind the wreck, as Mason Kane will, like you said, likely be the first retirement of this race.
Doesn't look like major damage on a lot of other cars or trucks either. Just a lot of kind of bouncing off of each other. I see the 83's got some rear damage, but I think they're all in relatively good shape.
That's how much of a bullet Cameron Hurd dodged. No front end damage seemingly, but the back of that 83, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah, he got real lucky. And that's, again, I don't think qualifying 12th is a huge deal in the grand scheme of 115 laps from now where you're going to be running, but it does put you in harm's way early when you're behind everybody else. That's the danger of starting at the tail now, or at the tail of the field, meaning the mid-pack here tonight. 1 to go as the lights are out on the pace car, so it means we're going green next time by. We'll try this again. Yeah, I think the trucks are pretty on edge tonight, as the Cup cars were last night.
Yeah, but like I said, it will always be, your worst enemy will be the very initial start. I don't know what it is about the banking in turn 1 and whatnot, but turn 1 on cold tires, if you are not careful in pedaling the car or truck, if you're trying to full send it, it's not going to work. You're going to spin exactly like Mason Kane did, and that's what happened right there.
And race fans, make sure you tune in on Thursday night for the season finale for the Area of Florida Estate Builders Pro Series. 130-lap race right here from Homestead Miami Speedway. Thursday night, 8:40 Eastern, to decide our final championship of the 3 area iRacing leagues, or series, I should say, in the league. I used all my words at Lime Rock Park this weekend, Connor, so I'm out of words now. Pace car pulls off, and here we go. Green flag back underway from Homestead. Still 3 wide in the back of the field, but the front runners are single filed out. Munsell, Scioli, Beckner, Weishart. So second, third, and fourth are now your top 3 in the championship. Cameron Hearns up 4 spots from where he started into 8th place, and looks like he is still on a mission to grab another one from Michael Curhan in the 24.
Well, Weishart and Ware got close out of turn number 2 there. Ware not a good restart. That drops him from 2nd all the way to 5th now. As you say, 2, 3, 4 are championship competitors, as that 6 of Munsell getting away from Scioli, but a big slide off of turn 4 for Munsell.
Bezekas Motorsports trucks making life easy for Cameron that time through. He's passed Curhan and Greg Mitchell. Now sets his sights on Tom Bohr. Narrowly missed out on the final 4. He had been so consistent all season long, but just didn't have this flashes of greatness that you need. You need to be hot coming into this last round. You need to win a race maybe to really be a factor. We're 3 wide. Slaughter on the bottom of a Bezekas duo, the 2 and the 24.
Yeah, Beckner, that one win he had at Iowa a month back was the difference. If he didn't have that, he would not have made it. But like you were saying, we kind of been talking about all playoffs long for Tom Bourne, just didn't have enough of competitiveness in the top 3 to make things happen and get to the Final Four, but still trying to go out with a good run here up to 6th now.
Good battles forming kind of here mid-pack for 10th place and beyond. And I imagine this race will go pretty green once we get strung out, and it will become one of those strategy races that we've seen a number of times in 2023 in the Area Truck Series. The early part of the season was kind of rash with yellows, but the mid part of the season was highlighted by many long green flag runs and races that played out pretty naturally. And if you're Justin Munsell, you really want that right now. Keep it green. At least in the early stages, he's the fastest truck.
And the last time we came to Miami in the Truck Series, it was 2 seasons ago, and only had 1 yellow that night, and that race lasted about 71 minutes, so we're kind of on track for the same deal here tonight.
49 of Danny Ware trying to go back around Tom Bourne, or vice versa here. The 49, big slide out of 4, but gathers it up. That will leave him subject to Cameron Hearn on his continued quest to drive up with the other Championship 4 competitors.
Right on a bumper. Ware really struggling and early on in this run. Got some drivers running the top line. First one I see up there is Jessiana Sogak, but you did just swoop to the bottom on Greg Mitchell for the 10th position. We'll see if that comes in during the nighttime or it maybe fades away a little bit, but definitely going to be see drivers doing that on restarts, trying to just get clean air on the nose going to the top side, as that 88 just couldn't clear the 2.
Reminded by the Taco Bell branding on the back of Danny Ware's truck. It reminds me back in college, we were doing calling a race for the Indy Elite Series, and someone had a Taco Bell car, and Finney and I promptly got Taco Bell immediately after the race was over. Sometimes even sim advertising works very well. And I would probably be getting Taco Bell after if I didn't have it last night. So, good work, Danny.
Choice of the night is a Wingstop.
It is a Wingstop night. No one's got a Wingstop truck, but if they did, it would make me excited.
Pretty orderly
here.
at, yeah.
I was going to say Garrett Grant, little crossover on Dylan Lee. Down to the front straight. You mentioned how it's pretty orderly up front, and it's because Justin Munsell has an advantage, but James Scioli last time by was a couple hundreds quicker and maybe starting to knock that lead down a bit.
But also behind him, Beckner and Weissart were half a tenth faster than the 7. So that both of them reeling the 7 in just a little bit here, but could also be strategy just trying to save the tires for the 7, as that battle for 12th is pretty hot right now. Dylan Lee just had a slide, but he saved it, no problem, as here comes Travis Beckner. I'm really interested in this fight between these two.
Remember to use code SCIOLI at checkout at rickshotsauce.com to save $7 on any order. And we got more to talk about Rick's Hot Sauce later, but you're the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year in the Cup Series, Connor. Got yourself that $100 prize.
I know. It was nice. 6 top 5s, which was solid. I wish I had one more from Vegas, but still a good season. Happy with it, all that. And maybe I can get as much hot sauce as I want. I did not slide a lot like that this season. I think that's why I got the Rookie of the Year, as Beckner had a huge moment there.
Yeah, that was a lot. And you have to wonder if continued rear tire wear would happen because he's sliding the truck around. But this is a track where I think Beckner can be really quick because you can be so aggressive in so many different lines, but it also can burn you if you slide the rear end around a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that was the name of the game until the sun completely set last night. If you didn't save the rear tires, you were going to go backwards. I think it was Douglas Newping. He was top 3 early on and dropped far back until he finally met his demise. Jim Miller, same thing. He tried burning the rear tires up and got in a slide out of turn 2. So if you do not keep the rear tires on it, you will go backwards in due time. The only saving grace of tonight is that those green flag runs on tires might be a little bit shorter tonight.
Whoa, and Sogak cleared himself off the nose of Curhan, who immediately crossed him back over, not phased at all. But I was going to note, Curhan was already on the top side of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2, right down to the bottom in 3 and 4. So experimenting already with different lanes to try to find pace.
Trying anything he can. He has made that top line work a decent bit. Him and Anasoga have kind of been trading places between those two lines. Usually, I think we saw a lot of pinching last night to the bottom, but the 88 not willing to do that, just running the high line, giving Curhan his space. Curhan gives the 88 his space, and 88 should clear him back here off of turn number 2, as those second, third, and fourth still close in between each other. Weishart just lurking behind Beckner, putting enough air on the spoiler to upset the rear end of that 28. And Scioli, I think, is, well, another wiggle from Beckner. Scioli's in a decent spot here.
And Weishart had a bit of a tank slapper leaving turn 4. About 0.8 of tire wear off of where we were at the initial drop of the green flag, as Cameron Hearn now gets right back to the bumper of Danny Ware. But what I've noticed, Connor, not a lot of passing at this particular stage of the race. 17 laps into the run. It seems like maybe later when the tire wear really starts to ramp up is when we're going to see people get more aggressive. But right now it's kind of bottom feeding most of the way around the track.
Kind of like a mix of Chicago. It's like in the middle of what we saw at Chicago and what we saw at Vegas. Vegas was like a pack race, 2x2 throughout the field until the tires wore out. And Chicagoland was spread out in a tire-saving race from the very beginning of that race. I think we got a little bit of an in-betweener here where the tires are going to wear out a little bit, but everyone's still so even anyways that everyone's going to be with the same pace, and it's going to be somewhat hard to pass, as it looks like Beckner's starting to fall off. That or Scioli's starting to go to the front, but Weishart is all over Travis Beckner.
Yeah, both of them have had moments of correction here, leaving turn 4 in particular. Slightly different lines between the two. Tom Bourne, imagine if he was in this championship 4, Connor, he'd be right in this mix, but almost doesn't count in motorsports. It's either did or did not.
Imagine if he was in, imagine if Justin Munsell did not have the drama he had at Talladega a month or so back. He would have had a great playoff run to this point, but like you said, almost doesn't matter. But Munsell's still putting down a decent pace as we go back to Bryce Senesac. He's in a battle for 12th, I believe. No, 13th with Greg Mitchell. Mitchell does, I believe, have some right side damage from that lap 1 incident, but he's still holding on.
And Brad Slaughter Jr. has reeled in Cameron Hearn. Cameron's progress has effectively stopped. I think it's partially due to what we pointed out earlier, where it just seems like it's tricky to pass right now. But he was moving up a lot on the initial start and restart, so maybe he would like it to be a bit more yellow heavy tonight, at least in the early stages. But 20 laps down, 100 to go next time by.
He is up 6 spots from where he restarted. I believe he restarted 8th, and he was one of those drivers involved in that incident, had a slide there, and did not take tires. So he's doing this on somewhat worn tires and doing a good job. Oh, wow. Weishart Beckner just got close. Beckner shut the door on Weishart entering turn 1.
Now, while David Weishart hasn't had a direct run-in with Travis as of late, I do think that there is some opinions between each other that I think will affect the way that they race, even though they haven't necessarily had a moment where one requires payback or the other doesn't. I know David has talked a lot about the way Travis races, and tonight they get the chance to go to him head-to-head here for a title.
Well, can't forget that Scioli is obviously his competitor for the title, but Scioli also drives for David Weishart. So Weishart, as a team owner and as a competitor to Beckner, has obviously taken note of how aggressively the 28s ran his driver. And while maybe we've talked about how Weishart's not involved in this drama, he kind of indirectly is because of being the truck owner of that 7. So he's definitely had to hear it from both sides from those two, I'm sure.
Justin Munsell still setting pretty good laps. Scioli's keeping pace with them, but the gap is ebbing and flowing, trending in a positive direction for Munsell. But talk to me in 15 laps. That's really when we're going to see who's got the true long-run pace. Last time by, it was Scioli, the fastest truck on the racetrack, but only by 0.004 of a second.
Yeah, very, very even between these two so far. And meanwhile, Beckner was about 0.5 tenth slower, and Weishart was 1.5 tenths slower. So I think those two losing touch with the top two. See, this time by, looking at the laps, it was Munsell by a little bit. Beckner did reel back in the 7 a little bit, but 29 was not able to do the same thing. But these top 4 are definitely starting to rocket away from the rest of the field. Tom Bourne's about to be under fire from Danny Ware.
And Justin Anisogak and Michael Curhan side by side here. Curhan tucks back into 10th. And you mentioned Ware and Bourne, but slide behind him. Garrett Grant and Bryce Senesac almost got together. And then there's that battle you teed up a moment ago.
Yeah, I was about to Sorry, I took a glance at Jacob Bell. He's still out there, by the way, on his controller. But I was talking about looking at Bourne. He had a slide there as well. As that was all from the 49 just laying air on his spoiler. Got him so sideways that Bourne did not have any sort of run out of turn number 4. And that might be the way you have to pass here tonight. We're already seeing how tough it is. You might have to get someone loose and out of their comfort zone, or just try a completely different line like Cameron Hearn did just then.
Danny Ware clears Tom Bourne.
Wow.
Bourne crosses him over into turn 1. Up the inside. This is going to get tight here. That bottom line's hard to hold. Progressive banking here at Homestead, Miami.
Oh, we hit the apron. Look out.
More banking up high than there is down low, and you get that big push if you try to stick it to the bottom. Here's Cameron Hearn. He wants some offensive maneuver here to the outside.
Yeah, he's really got to get going. It's looking to be a green race potentially, and not just Scioli, but those other two are kind of getting away from him right now. And here comes Slaughter, maybe to help Cameron Hearn out down the straightaway. He'll go in line with him to try to get this 6th position away.
Good run for Brad Slaughter. Started 17th up to 8th now and looking on 7th. And see, now we're seeing that upper groove begin to get populated. The first 25 laps, everyone was on the bottom. And now we're seeing more and more drivers gravitate to the high lane. And look, they're making speed up there. It's like they flipped the switch.
And Weishart did the same thing. He went to the top side 1 and 2, got to the bottom of Beckner for that 3rd position, but wasn't able to get enough of a run to get beside the 28. But he's the highest up at all from 4th. He tried that top line. We'll see if he does it again. And meanwhile, even ahead of them, Scioli has started to reel in the 6 a little bit more. Weishart back to the bottom this time, but everyone behind Cameron Hearn just about went to the top.
Yeah, this is a secret that you just can't repocket, right? You open Pandora's box by going to the high lane. You see that it's fast. Everyone behind you sees that it's fast, but the drivers in front might not have discovered it yet. But I think that top lane is very quickly becoming the place to be. And it's just amazing to me how quickly it flipped from bottom to top. It's like it literally is like a light switch flipped. And now people can make speed up there in the ways that they haven't been able to before. Maybe the tires wearing out has gotten them in that range, but look at Weishart now goes high, and he's going to find a lot of speed up here. Look at this.
Trying to make it work right here as trying to get to the top. I think Beckner's got to give him the space at that point. Ooh, 29 might have bounced off the wall. They almost sideswept each other there as had a pit stop just in the Sogak pit. And these two are going to go side by side. This for 2nd in the title as meanwhile Scioli hunts for the race lead as here comes the crossover.
Fierce fight here for 3rd place. Beckner versus Weishart. Weishart had him for a moment. Beckner takes it back. Now Weishart looks to the bottom, but the outside, I think. Oh, and for the lead, by the way, Munsell under fire from Scioli.
Scioli didn't even run a different line. Munsell just got really sideways out of turn 4 like he did early on. Opened the door for the 7, but won't give it up that easily as here comes Beckner back to the bottom. Weishart saying something over the radio. I don't think he's happy the 28's racing him, but they're going to race hard here.
Championship time. I mean, it's early in the race, yes, but we're a quarter of the way through. You got to go. I mean, this is championship go time. I mean, I think maybe there's, know when to fight your battles, but I don't know when anyone can, how you could know that with this race still so young.
Meanwhile, we're talking about how it might be a 2-stop race. I did get a PM from Eric Weiland, who I guess has enough time to PM me under green. He is clutching and coasting. Back in 15th, maybe trying to cut a stop out of this race, but that's not the race we're looking at right now. The 6 and 7 are going at it.
Munsell working really hard to keep this lead. Earned it with a phenomenal pole position. That time Scioli will lead. Cameron Hearn heads for pit lane. This is a lot earlier than I think we were anticipating drivers to come. So, interesting strategy. Maybe he's feeling he doesn't have the raw pace and he has to mix it up, Connor.
Yeah, he was a few seconds off Scioli in the 7, who takes the lead now. But you got to try something, whether it's just a normal short pit or maybe even an extra stop. When you're that far back compared to the drivers you're racing, you got to try something different. I wouldn't be surprised to see Beckner even do something like that.
Is it too early to ditch the conventional strategy, though, Connor? I mean, we're only 32 laps in this race. Maybe by halfway that you'd bail out, but it seems like pretty early to give up on the strategy that everyone else is running just for the sake of doing something different because you're not there yet.
Yeah, maybe a little early. Logic dictates you would have pit around 40 if you were on strategy, so definitely an early stop here, but you can always come back on strategy and just hit the same lap, the 7, and everyone else does who does the normal strategy. So we'll just have to see. I think he's just really trying to get clean air above track position here. I think that's what this play is ultimately for, is Brad Slaughter's going to come down as well from 7.
Yeah, earlier than I thought we were going to see drivers come down. So this, I mean, it's a 2-stopper, right? So you're going to just stop one more time after this, but maybe not. Maybe they'll make it a 3-stopper and stop at 30, 60, 90, right? Like, I don't know that you would want to do that. I don't know that there's enough. Well, there is kind of a lot of tire wear. A second and a half over 30 laps. That's a lot.
A decent amount, but usually when you're going to do an extra stop, the fall off is going to be even twice that. You know, it's going to be your 3-4 seconds, like we saw at Richmond in real life. That's really one of the few tracks it works at, and it's hard to do that on the sim and not have something throw that strategy off. So we'll just have to see, but I think this is definitely a point in the race where Cameron Hearn felt he doesn't have the pace of his championship competitors, and he just had to try something different.
Well, he's just trying at 33.491. That is 1.1 seconds quicker than the leader. So he will cycle to the lead once things kind of shuffle out. Actually, Anna Sogak, I believe, would do that at the moment. He's up the road a little bit. So this is going to be a strategy race. I think we've established that. The yellow out of the way early. And now you have to do the math right. And some of these drivers have teams. Some of them are a little more on their own. But as far as the Championship 4 go, they've all got teams to lean on, and 2 of them are teammates.
Cameron Hearn has his share of teammates for sure. He's got Garrett Grant, Curhan, and Greg Mitchell all here tonight. Scioli, he's facing one of his teammates in David Weishart, but they've also got Brad Slaughter Jr. and Bryce Senesac out there as well. So if you really want to help your teammate out, you might even go on the same strategy as them, just to give more cars, give more trucks for the drivers he's competing with to fight with, as Greg Mitchell comes down pit lane as I say that.
So Mitchell, one of the first Besikis trucks to come on down in support of Cameron Hearn in the 4. Leaves the 24 and the 42 still on track. Scioli being passed by Anna Sogak, who is unlapping himself right now.
Oh, I don't know what just happened, but Cameron Hearn had to go on the apron to pass Weishart into turn 3. That was wild, but it's almost like there is a miscommunication there. Watch this.
Goes for it. Oh, yeah, he really had to swerve to miss it. And the difference in speed there, I don't know that that was an intentional block by the 29. I don't know that he knew that the 4 would be coming with such a different speed. But either way, I'm sure that was a sketchy moment.
Yeah, got to pin that on Hearn. I mean, the difference in speed, like you said, I don't think Weishart thought I don't think he even thought there was a chance he was going to try to go to the bottom as Weishart pits from 3rd.
Ooh, that was a fast entry. Locked up the rear tires.
Trying to see what he was at the line. I think he made it just fine. I think it was a good entry, but Weishart was already committed to the bottom. When you're on old tires, you can't decommit.
No. Yeah,
that was on Cameron Hearn to kind of, he didn't really see that coming, obviously.
Yeah, pretty late lunge, but he's trying to make time, right? So he's going to be making some pretty desperate moves here pretty early. He avoided a wreck, but almost caused it as the 7 peels off. So everybody's in, effectively.
Here comes Munsell. Here comes Beckner just following the 7 in.
And this would put them bang on the money for a 2-stopper at 40 and 80.
Yes. We're looking at the 29 exiting the pits. Cameron Hearn is off of turn 2. Weishart's still on the access road, so that's how much getting tires earlier matters, but we'll see what difference that makes on the long run as Scioli stops in his box.
Well, it's going to be a whirlwind of strategy, and I don't think we're going to know much until lap 100. That's 60 laps from now. And the Area Truck Series finale, again, we had seen strong fields all season long, kind of dwindling numbers towards the end, but with that comes the increase in green flag running and comes an increase in strategy and how that will impact your performance at the tail end of the race. Big group on pit lane here. Just 2 drivers have yet to pit, Dylan Lee and Tom Bourne.
Meanwhile, as everyone cycles out, Weishart is going to just clear Justin Munsell, so that's going to be somewhat key. Tom Bourne on the apron, I believe also yet to pit. He's the race leader. He'll come in this time by, but right now it would cycle out to be actually just Anna Sogak would be the race leader, but Cameron Hearn is chasing him rather quickly.
Yeah, about 3/10 a lap, and he's 1.4 back, so give it 3 or 4 laps, and I think Cameron Hearn will blow right on by Anasogak. That's just a smidge of an idea for the next 30 or 40 laps or so with how quickly fresher tires will run you down. So this is a short-term gain, long-term loss, I think, but if you can keep the majority of your advantage for the majority of the run, you're putting yourself in a positive position, especially if we get a caution late in the race. If you lose this advantage within 10, 15 laps of doing it, then I don't know that it's worth doing. But I think this will pay off for at least 25, 30 laps.
I'm also going to have to pay attention to a potential one-stop. As I tried to note earlier, Eric Wineland has been clutching and coasting for a while now, as he's cycled out to be the last driver to pit and obviously the race leader, trying to go 60 lap stint. That's going to be a big stretch, but he does have a lead to boot here for a little while.
Well, the fuel window, 42 to 46. I don't see any way you get to 60.
15 laps a run?
No, there's no way. And he's losing so much time doing this. He's a second and a half off full pace.
If nothing else, you catch a yellow.
I guess so.
It's kind of what you're rooting for at this point.
This isn't any fun, though, right? Like, even if it
might
worked.
be to him. It might be to him. I don't know how much he's really concerned.
Yeah, I mean, well.
Down with 14th in points coming into tonight. 6 top 5s, 8 top 10s. You know, not in the playoff fight, got nothing to fight for. Why not try something wacky, I suppose? You can definitely hear him. You can see him working. There he goes. He sees himself on camera.
Gives us the thumbs up.
I'm sure he doesn't hear you in Zoom this time.
Yeah. But coasting for a long time, and maybe he's on trajectory to make it to lap 60, but we'll see how it all pans out. Anasogak leads over Hearn for second, but it's only half a second difference now as Hearn is quickly closing that differential.
Another 3/10 faster, closer to 2/10 faster for Hearn. And then Brad Slaughter was 2/10 faster than the 4. And then Skyly was 4/10 faster than the 8. And then Weishart is not faster than the 7. Beckner was faster than everyone there as he just got by Justin Munsell.
Truck Series continues to battle. Race fans, be sure to visit simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. Here comes Cameron Hearn for second with a big run on Anasogak.
Just going to note the retirees. It was Mason Kane, Jacob Bell, and Ryan Swan. Shane Therian was one of those, but he did just pull back on track. As here goes the 4 for what would be the effective lead on the 2 stoppers. Still about 4 to 5 seconds to get the Wineland, but he does clear the 88. Now it's about just running hard and trying to keep that advantage over the 7 and the 28, 29.
Yeah, it's about Hearn's, but 3.7 behind Eric Wineland, and Scioli's 6.3. So it's about, I don't know, 3-ish seconds that he's got between them, and he's going to get run down. You see him in the back drop there, but how late in the run? Cameron's got 15 laps on this run already. He only went about, 30 on his opening? So he's halfway through his run, although he's going to have to extend one of these runs if he plans to make it to the end on still 2 stops.
And if you're going to do 2 stops and you're going to short pit early, you would think your middle run is going to be your longest run. Well, I mean, like this would be the run.
It'd be a 30 and 2:45s would be your runs, right? As opposed to 3:40s. So that would gain you a lot in this run. But then you'd lose some on the back ends of runs 2 and 3. So you're going to be on defense at the end, which I would rather be on offense.
The issue with the situation he was in, he was seconds off Scioli. He wasn't really going to get much of an opportunity to play offense for the drivers he was fighting. So I assume he figures his best offense is defense in this case.
Eric Wineland still leads by 1.4 seconds. But now it's down to 1 second, down to 8/10. It's going to be short-lived. There's Eric pulling over to the side. He knows it's coming.
It's going to be at a turn 2, most likely.
I wonder if he's running this because it's a shorter distance as well. Middle of the track, bottom of the track.
Everything helps. You see the way his car jolts, you can definitely see he's still doing the coasting. It actually won't be in turn 2, exceeding my expectations. But as the 4 catches him, the 7 is coming even faster, half a second faster than Cameron Hearn was James Scioli. Not to mention how much faster the 4 was than the 21.
There goes the 4 to the lead.
But for how long?
Not for too much longer. Working lap 50, 50 laps down, and 70 laps to go here from the Area Truck Series. Clicking away laps very fast. It's going to be a green race. We've already established that. We got the field strung out. A yellow is just going to be one of those surprise random occurrences at this point. I don't think we're going to work up to one like we did last night a couple of times.
If there's a team point battle brewing. Shane Deering, as far as I know, is not on a team, but he is on track passing Mason Kane and Jacob Bell. I don't know if that was in defense of that, but even on his controller, he got back on track, maybe to combat the 83. So not sure if there's a fight there, but there will definitely be a fight for the lead here.
Scioli closing down on Cameron Hearn here, Connor, for the top spot.
There's not much he's going to be able to do here either. He'll just go to the bottom. Scioli can just run his line better. He'll get to the bottom and pretty much get him with no fight from Cameron Hearn. The 7 back to the point.
Side by side, Hearn chases him to the bottom. I don't know what for. He's going to swing back over. I mean, this is a losing fight to battle here. You might as well just kind of cut your losses and save your tire, Connor. But if Scioli drives through.
If he was going to fight him, he probably should have gotten to side draft him earlier, but that was surprising to me, as Fight's going to be behind him as well. Wow, Slaughter just threw a big block on Travis Beckner. And that's another thing I'm thinking about. When the 4 falls back to this fight, how will he treat Travis Beckner? Beckner gets by Slaughter here for the 4th position.
Yeah, so Beckner's only got 13 lap old tires. Cameron Hearn's got 21 lap old tires, and that, you're right. It's going to catalyze that battle we've been waiting for. But look at the top 4. I mean, maybe for a short-lived period, but top 4, all playoff championship 4 competitors. Always the cream rises to the top. It did last night. It will tonight, even earlier in the race. But again, how long will that last? Beckner and Weishart running Hearn down.
Beckner, I believe, slightly fresher tires, maybe.
Than the 1 lap fresher tires. Not a lot, but enough. And Munsell, even with Beckner.
Also getting by Slaughter, one of those short pitters, as well as the 4 of Hearn. But now Hearn starts to fall back to his other championship competitors. Weishart, I would be surprised if there was much of a fight put up with the 29, but obviously, as we keep talking about, it's going to be all about what happens with the 4 and the 28 here.
There goes Beckner to the bottom. We know it's on their minds, but will there be any action yet?
We got close there. I think that's just Beckner trying to get an arc in the corner, but how hard is Hearn going to run on his right rear? Can't really do anything.
No. He wants to throttle up, I can tell, but he just doesn't have the rear grip to do it. Curhan, by the way, and Wineland, who's fallen back to 10th. Wineland only has to go 4 more laps to make it to his number. So far, so good for his strategy.
The drivers, when everyone started pitting, he was 15th. So, as I believe that was for position. No, it wasn't for position, but he would, I guess, be a net positive if he's able to stretch this out. So kudos to him, I suppose, as that battle for the lead, non-existent. Scioli's clear, but Weishart and Beckner getting closer.
And Scioli, the fastest of the drivers on the racetrack last time by, except for Michael Curhan, who has 1 lap fresher tires. Everyone else slower than the 7, though, and he leads by 1.6 seconds, putting himself in the best spot to win this title. As we approach halfway, Beckner running down Weishart. Where do you do? What line do you take?
Got to either try something different, or you got to get to his bumper and just loosen him up a little bit. That's what the 29 did to the 28. No reason not to return the favor a little bit here, but Beckner struggling to get to the bumper is his issue.
Cameron Hearn would be pitting on lap 75 if he's going to do the 30, 45, 45 strategy. It's a long way from now. Well, I guess only 15. That's not that crazy.
Nah, not too crazy. And if he was to do an extra stop, he'd be hitting right about now, but I don't think that'll be the case.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, splitting the race up into 3 even 40-lap chunks makes the most sense to me, just because you maintain peak tire performance for the longest possible way, the longest possible time.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're exactly right. There's really no other way to cut it. Every other strategy besides that is an alternate strategy. We're only seeing one alternate strategy with the 21 of Wineland. Hearn was just doing a different variation. He just had to try to get track position, maybe try to catch something. That was his play there.
The Slaughter chases Hearn, as James Scioli is going to come around and reach halfway this time, lap 61 of 120. Here he comes out of turn 4 in the Rick's Hot Sauce truck.
The big milestone for Wineland, who I'm sure will likely be coming in this time as they reach halfway. As this battle for second still heating up. Beckner looks like he's finally going to try to get to the right rear of Weishart. Almost made contact, but couldn't do anything with it. Yes, Wineland did pit that time, as Weishart got away from Beckner, almost hit the wall there.
And I should also remind everybody that Wineland did pit on that opening lap yellow to take some fuel, so that probably added another gallon or so to the tank. So that's something he won't have for the second half of the race. But this battle behind Scioli is losing them ground. 2 seconds and growing is a differential. Weishart, Beckner, and now Munsell, who led the opening stages of this race.
And when, as a leader, he gets a gap like this, everything's in his control. You have to severely undercut him to have a shot at him. But with how big of a lead he has, you can undercut him and he can go maybe 2 more laps and pit, and he might still be ahead of you, and it could be all for nothing. That is so important in a race like this. As we were talking about alternate strategies, Cameron Hearn might be doing an extra stop. He did pit last time by.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is interesting, but
it was a full 4-tire stop as well, not trying to play any funny business with the fuel. Huh.
Got to try something, I assume. There's really all there is to it. Doesn't feel like he has the pace to do it straight up.
I don't know if anyone has the pace to do it straight up. Scioli has just been rock solid. Weishart putting some distance on Beckner, who's now got Justin Munsell barking up the tailpipes of his Toyota Tundra TRD Pro.
Yeah, Munsell, I still think, is the second fastest to Scioli on the racetrack tonight, but now he's in traffic while Scioli was just able to get a bigger gap on the 6 just because of where they came out on pit road. He really loosened up the rear end of the 28 there, as he just is going to get to the left rear into turn number 3. Munsell trying to keep pace with the 7, but he's lost a lot of time this run.
And Sogak also looks like on that extra stop strategy, drives up the outside of both of them. They leave turn 4, and Munsell through to 3rd.
Beckner just, even with Weishart, doesn't seem to have the long run pace that the 29 has. He really pressured the rear end of that Matco Tool Silverado, but he's already given up about a second to that 29 since then. Really struggling for pace at this point.
Out front, it's James Scioli. We're just looking at Travis Beckner. And the laps are beginning to wind their way down. We're just past halfway, but if this race goes green to the end, as Brad Slaughter Jr. hits pit lane, we are just 30 minutes away from crowning a champion. That's how close things are. And James Scioli has been the statistically dominant driver, and Eric Wineland told us pre-race, trust the stats.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with that. And that's why I chose the 7. We've kind of been playing keep away from Scioli all season long in all 3 series.
Yes,
at least I have been.
That's exactly what everyone's been playing. And he's probably perhaps the biggest threat of all on Thursday.
I would say so. You think he's been dominant in this series with 6 wins. Look at his resume in that series. What does he have, 8, 9 wins?
A lot. I guess I could pull it up and we can speak to it. But Scioli has just been dominant across all 3 series this year, and was just shy of winning the Cup Series championship, despite Jake Nichols being the kind of the top driver on top 5s and top 10s. 9 wins for Scioli, 6 poles, and that's 9 wins in 15 starts. So he's won more than half of his starts in the Florida State Builders Pro Series. So that's just really impressive stuff. But it's still too early to say it's his to lose. I mean, Weishart's right there, and he's within striking distance of strategy, right? So not counting this 29 out just yet.
It is likely going to have to take Scioli just not covering and just making a mistake, really, to really lose a shot at this title, though. Weishart is still losing. Last time by, it was about a 10th last time by. This time by, it'll be close to a 2/10 loss for Weishart. So just shows what we've seen from the 7 all season long. His long run pace is just miles better than everyone's around him. Almost at every single different track we've gone to, he has long run pace no matter what, and that's what set him apart this season.
And maybe this is what Hearn saw coming and why he's been so quick to try a different strategy, knowing that he's not going to just beat the 7 on a straight up pace. He's got to try something out of the box. He just squeaked into the playoffs the last round here after all the dramas leading up to it. So why not throw something at the wall and see if it sticks? I don't know that he would have won otherwise. So 50 laps to go next time by. And that means we're about 10 laps away from our final pit stops for the front runners that are on the traditional 40-40-40 strategy.
Got a few battles here and there. Michael Curhan has been battling Danny Ware for 5th position. Just got to his inside. That's going to get tight out of turn number 4, but those two are battling while Scioli's just cruising away. Now 3.1 second lead, as Cameron Hearn just did on lap himself.
And Justin Munsell is kind of eating into David Weishart's advantage as well. That time through he was 200 slower, but I think generally he's trending in a positive direction. And here's Curhan and Ware door to door for a moment. Ware up into 5th place.
Bourne become the next of the pitters from about 12th. Still a ways away from, about 10 laps away from when we should see the front runners. As you were saying, that 6 is reeling in Weishart just a little bit. As you can see how far Beckner's fallen off with his tire wear, fallen back, not really for position. Brad Slaughter Jr. on newer tires going by him there, but you can see how spread out this race got after we did get the green flag pit stops.
Yeah, we have not seen the multiple grooves really pan out. There was a moment when I thought we were going to get a lot of side-by-side, but we have not seen it since. I think it's just because the trucks don't have enough power to really overcome and ride that outside groove as much as we'd come to expect. And Monday we saw a little bit of that. Thursday, though, I think we're going to see the most diverse lines and the most racing that we've seen all week, just because that Xfinity class car just is dialed as far as the package goes with the downforce and power, and it is just built for a track like this.
Also going to depend on the time of day the race starts at. I think a lot of a multi-groove we were hoping for kind of plays into the time of day the race starts at. If you start with a kind of baked track and a very high track temp, you're going to see that top line be more effective. But because we go day to night and had a lot of night running tonight, I think that played a factor in how the track cooled down so quickly. It kind of made that top line a moot point.
I think you're right about that too. So we're in the window to make it to the end here, at least for everybody. I don't think they're going to pit until lap 80. Maybe even later. Maybe they'll go a little longer than that and just try to use up as much tire as they can. Only battles at the moment that are volatile enough to keep an eye on: Danny Ware, Michael Curhan, and then Weishart and Munsell for second. And Hearn and Sogak and a couple others are still kind of really pushing on this 3-stop strategy. And Eric Wineland is still continuing on his 2-stop strategy. He's done pitting.
As long as he can make it.
In theory, he's done pitting.
He did talk about how he took that splash on the lap 1 caution, so who knows how much he has to really do here, but he should be done pitting, and is the only one that should be done pitting here. Even the 4 of Hearn still has to do one more stop based on what we've seen.
He's being pretty aggressive with the saving really early. I mean, he's 13 laps into this run. We have 45 laps to go, and already clutching in, and really for the entirety of 1 and 3, he's just coasting. So this kind of aggressive saving, it will get you 10, 15 laps.
It's going to be, we'll see if, like we said, when he started doing this, he was 15th. So could be still a net positive because he's running 16th now, and everyone ahead of him's got to pit again, but it's definitely not going to gain him track time right now. He is just only 10ths faster than Scioli. As that battle for second, still trying to look at the battles we do have right now. Battle for second is heating up. Oh wow,
Weishart almost pounded the wall at leaving turn 4. The rear tailgate kind of swung over as Beckner heads for pit lane, Connor.
Yeah, I was looking at Beckner's entry. It was somewhat wild, but it was controlled. A controlled wild, I would say. As
that sounds like Beckner.
Yeah, he kind of specializes in that. As Weishart's pushing hard to keep this track position over 7. Now that Beckner's pit, just wondering what Scioli's going to want to do to combat that. He had a big lead over the 28, so he doesn't have to respond at all, but we'll see if the 28's going to try to get track positioning over the 7 to try to play defense.
And I don't know that he will respond. I think he's got enough pace that he can pit on his number on lap 80 and just run out to the end. These two, though, they're going to have to sort it out because one of these two drivers is the only one, I think, capable of beating the 7 on raw pace, and they're going to need some track position also. But I think if they put him in front of the 7, they might be able to keep him behind in a 40-lap run. But here comes Munsell through to second place.
Weishart kind of let him go there. I wonder if one of them's
right to pit lane.
Yeah.
Oh,
Late.
boy, that might be too fast.
I don't think it was too fast. I think it was just too scary. He really slowed down on it. He went down to 35 to make that work.
Watch this again. Pulls off the racetrack. Slows it down. Hard left in. And gets it stopped in the box. There's Danny Ware.
Also pit, yep. See if Munsell to make sure he doesn't have a penalty because that was extremely tight. Did not even notice Scioli was on pit road either there, but he also rolls off and kind of does cover Travis Beckner there. So now, if you're David Weishart, you might just run this out to the end.
So James Scioli, there he is leaving turn 2. Travis Beckner past the 29, but he's not going to get by Scioli, and that kind of seals the deal there. With less fresh tires and no track position to speak of. I don't know if he can win the championship without a yellow flag really mixing things up. Weishart is going to head for pit lane.
Weishart's best shot was fresher tires. I just don't think these tires are going to be fresh enough. Whoa, Garrett Grant had a big slide entering the pits, but he also got it woed down. So it's going to be Weishart on the offensive with the freshest tires. That's going to be such a gap to make up with only a lap or two fresher tires. As trying to see where Cameron Hearn came out compared to Scioli. He does have a big lead over him, but that's going to come down, and he also has to pit one more time.
Yeah. So he's got 19 laps. Yeah, so again, he pitted at lap 62 or 63. So unless he's going to pull the Eric Wineland fuel save strategy, which is not going to work, then I don't think he's got much for him. I just don't know that you can, I don't know, is he going to pit now, you think? But he needs to have a big tire gap on the 7.
Yeah, he has to run maybe 10 more laps, I would think.
It was either going to work very well or work very poorly. And I think it looks like it's going to be the latter.
Yeah, I'm just not sure if he's going to gain enough time back once he pits again for this to really matter. But he does still have, he would cycle out to the lead for the time being. He's not the leader. Dylan Lee still has got the pit as well. He's getting laps led. Brad Slaughter's kind of on the same strategy. He pit a little after the 4, but he is, I believe, going to 3-stop this, and he's 4 seconds behind Cameron Hearn. And then just Anna Sogak there as well as the same thing. And then Scioli's 4 or 5 seconds back of that battle.
Do we have any chance at a yellow here in the closing stages of this race? I would say we have a very small chance, if anything at all.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. This race has gotten so spread out. It's going to take something catastrophic or, for lack of a better term, manufactured. So
whose arm's itchy?
Not mine.
35
mine is not itching.
Laps to go in just a little while. And Cameron Hearn trying to steal one with a different strategy than everybody else. And jury's out on how it'll pay out. And then same for the Eric Wineland truck. So he is done pitting. And I'm trying to figure out how he passes everybody at this stage. I don't think he is going to.
No, he's still 14th.
Right.
So, if he finishes ahead of 15th, it is a gain, but he is still 14th, and I think Bronson Stafford and Greg Mitchell are getting ready to pass him.
Yeah. This is another one of those strategies that was either going to be a big win or a big miss.
It is a big swing and a miss, I think.
I'd say so. Oh, boy.
Thought I saw smoke in turn 1. Nope, never mind. Like I said, no manufacturing, please.
Dylan Lee leads. Still owed a pit stop. Cameron Hearn as well.
He just came over the radio and said, "You'll never catch me alive."
Yeah, okay.
There's Cameron Hearn catching him. Very alive.
Yeah. And
right, who's that pitting? Ryan Swan, I think, pit. He's laps down.
Might seem like we have a lot of time left, but it's only 20 minutes. It's not a ton of time.
For Scioli, it's 2 hours.
Yeah,
plus. Very long for him.
At this stage, he just wants this to be over. He's been the dominant truck. I think he's proven his point, but he's got to get back out there and take the lead back. And just hope and pray that no yellow flag comes out, because that will, if we get a yellow, this whole race will get turned up on its head, because all the patience that we've seen tonight is going to go out the window, because everyone sees an opportunity to snag some positions, especially those in that Final Four.
You'll definitely see strategies, probably 2 tires. You might even see no tires staying out. If we get a yellow, like you said, everything's at play. Tons of drama, gets reopened for sure. And that is the last thing Sky really wants. He does not want anyone to have a shot at him on a restart, because that is the only place he is going to be vulnerable.
And even then, I don't think he's incredibly vulnerable, because he has in theory, he'd have the preferred lane on the restart and get that jump, which has been pretty important, but it does open the opportunity for someone to get a good launch and a big dive into the corner and take it all away. All this hard work, the whole season, away in a blink of an eye. So he's just hoping and praying those lights stay green on the side of the racetrack as we get near to our final 30 laps of racing.
It is pretty wild how all 140 laps last night, Scioli, Jake Nichols, they were locked in tow all night long. It's seemingly those top 2, and that just hasn't been the case tonight. Scioli has been, maybe for lack of Jake Nichols being in the truck series, his 7 truck's just been the class of the field, and ever since he passed the 6 of Munsell on that first run, no one's had anything for him. Munsell has lost another second to him in this cycle, as Scioli gets a little bit closer to Cameron Hearn, who should be close to his final stop of the night as he chases down Dylan Lee.
Yeah, his final stop would be this lap. And here he comes.
It is.
Right
Not even gonna bother holding up Scioli either. Fast, shaky entrance. See if it's good enough for him. That keeps the lead Dylan Lee, but Scioli's about to get it from him.
Do you just do fuel only here? I mean, you don't need a full tank. You probably got some left in it. No, you can't do fuel only because you really need tires too. I mean, you put yourself in this box, right? And this is what you're left with.
Yeah, I mean, you have to take tires. I don't think that's going to do much if you take 2 tires under green, as he takes 4 tires. We did get a report from, I believe, Jordan Martin, that Scioli 2 laps ago did just touch the wall out of turn 4. No visible damage, but rare mistake possibly, but not going to hurt his lead over Beckner.
Cameron Hearn is a lap down now and should be capable of running laps that are about a second quicker, at least for a couple of laps. But he is a lap and a quarter down now, and with only 30 laps to go. That is a tall order.
Gonna have to go through traffic as well, as Dylan Lee finally comes down as well. As here comes Hearn past Beckner. Always got to watch these two, no matter what.
I think their strategies have just been too different tonight. They really haven't had to go head-to-head very much. Cameron jams it down the inside of the 8. He is on a mission and has no time to waste.
Nah, if you don't get out of his way, you will get turned. That would be the yellow, as now the battle for second is Slaughter and Beckner on different strategies as well still. As like you said, Hearn's got to go. He cannot play games with anyone. He's either going to get by someone in a turn, or he is going to shove someone out of the way and maybe into the wall. He has no other chance.
A yellow flag wouldn't really be a bad thing for him right now either, provided that he wasn't directly causing it, because it would give him the free pass and an opportunity to fight to the end. But with a field this small, you could go from 10th to 2nd on a restart pretty quickly if you had enough gusto.
Yeah, definitely possible, but going to be tough, as we will have, after Hearn gets by Skyly, he'll be the 15th driver on the lead lap. Dylan Lee has gone a lap down. He'll actually be 14th on the lead lap. Wineland's 13th, just in front of Skyly.
So Skyly's got a 3.2 second gap. It is growing. 25 laps to go next time by. And Garrett Grant and Bryce Senesac trade spots for 9th.
Skyly by Wineland. Slaughter's on this extra stop as well, so he shouldn't be too far away from pitting either. As a matter of fact, he is coming in here.
Pit entries have been really nice tonight. They've been aggressive, but no one's actually overstepped the bounds, which is rare. Usually you see people blow through here and get a ton of penalties.
Hearn gets his lap back down the back straightaway. It was much more fun and thrilling when it was access road only, but it's also good that that's not the case anymore.
So David Weishart, done pitting, is trying to chase down Travis Beckner, also done pitting. Difference between them is a couple of seconds. He's got 25 laps to get there, and he also has to re-engage with Justin Munsell. So Beckner, while maybe not in position to win this championship, is in a position to defend 2nd.
Just like he did last year, which I'm sure is going to be painstakingly harsh if he's runner-up again. Last year it was to, I believe, Brad Slaughter. This year it would be the Skyly. But definitely going to try to fend that 29 off best he can. Notably, Weishart, it was about 2.5 tenths faster than Skyly the lap before, but with how many laps we have to go, it's going to take a lot more than that to get to the 7.
Yeah, he has a tire advantage. It's just not a big one. It's only about 2 laps worth, which isn't going to be enough to run him back down. It's going to be enough to be faster than him until the tires kind of equalize out, and that's signified by even last time by Weishart only a 10th quicker than Skyly. So that advantage will slowly bleed off in the next 5-10 laps, and then it might even swing back to Skyly's favor when all that clean air he's got.
This time by coming to, I believe, 23 laps to go. Trying to pay attention to any progress Cameron Hearn makes. He's still 32 seconds behind. Hit the apron in turn 1 there, so it's likely he might not even get to. I don't think he is going to get the Weishart for 3rd in the title either. He's got that much work to do in a short amount of time.
Yeah, he's still going quick, but again, it's just not a lot of laps left. Only 12 minutes is all it is. In this race, had you not had the topic of the championship, this race would have been a pretty big nothing burger from a action perspective, Connor. There is some passing here and there, and people can move, but it has not been the dynamic race surface that we expect, especially on Thursday. But even last night, we had some pretty intense racing most of the evening. I know from the driver's perspective, it might have been different, but from up here in the commentary booth, looked like people could move around, find grip elsewhere, and make passes. And tonight has been a struggle once this race got spread out for anyone to do much of anything. And then once you get the strategies all diverse, it's hard to tell who's actually fighting and who's just on a wildly different strategy.
We saw last night there was a lot of the draft at any 1.5 miles in a cup car plays a factor and keeps things close. And also another factor in is, like you said earlier, the lack of horsepower in these trucks really kind of neuters them at these types of tracks where you might see much more intense racing. It's kind of hard to have that happen with the way the trucks are. And also another thing that we also talked about, the time of day. This being a fully night race made it even more difficult to make those passes because the trucks just tighten up more and more like the cup cars did last night. And that makes things especially difficult when you're stuck in dirty air, and also when things get spread out, it makes things difficult.
Well, 20 laps to go for the race leader, James Scioli. Race fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Waxahachie Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. And the Rookie of the Year battle that we've been following all season long You won it last night, $100 richer.
Yay. Can I win it next year?
You're going to have to try again. Well, not technically. I guess you could enter in the trucks or the
Try again.
area Florida State Pro Series.
I'll win them in all three. $100 richer 3 seasons in a row. Call me Alex Bowman. He's been a rookie for what, 7 years?
Yeah, I guess so. And be sure to check out shop.areairacing.com for merchandise to represent your favorite drivers and teams. Shop from our brand new selections of champion t-shirts, jackets, hats, and more. Easier to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. That's shop.areairacing.com. That Rick's hot sauce truck, though, looking hot. James Scioli out front in the South Beach Heat paint scheme tonight. And here in Florida, it feels pretty fitting.
He's never been more on fire than he has been tonight either. 4.5-second lead, pulling away still. This might be arguably his most dominant race of the season, as Justin Sogak comes up way faster on pressure tires to unlap himself and chase down Cameron Hearn. This is a little bit what we expected, but also maybe not by this much, as he has just been lights out, as that battle for second might heat up soon.
I think I expected a lot more drama between the 4 playoff competitors. I think I expected Weishart to be a bit more even with the 7 also. He's been pretty good, but not consistently faster than the 7, or at least he wasn't in the opening run when they were on equal footing. But it does look like he's going to catch Beckner and potentially move himself back to second in the championship standings.
So if there is going to be a yellow, my money would be on this battle, because it is going to be a fierce battle. Beckner will not let him go that easily, but will he really have a choice? As you can see, Weishart's that much faster. Last time by it was 0.3 of a second. It might be even more this time, as Beckner continues to lose time to the race leader. Weishart's still a touch faster, but needs to get to the runner-up position.
I want to be on offense on the tail end of these races, and I want to have tires. I just don't want to have to be forced to be as offensive as Cameron Hearn has to be right now. So Weishart's in a really good position, and he's going to drop to the inside here, and we'll see how much fight Beckner has with 4-lap older tire. Look at the 8 coming through here as well. Brad Slaughter Jr., reigning champ.
I think if anything, Slaughter might help Weishart here and push him by, or maybe even get in front of the 28 and hold him up. All's fair in that sense as far as team games go, but Slaughter's that much faster. He can rocket to the outside and get by him. He'll really hurt Beckner's exit here.
That's exactly, and he actually pulled off the wall.
Swerve at him.
And hurt it a little bit, and Beckner's going to slot back ahead of Weishart. David's going to try for the high side.
And now he's just going to give dirty air to the 28, which is, I think, exactly what he was hoping for. But Weishart's still not able to get a run out of 4 to get alongside, as I think Muntzel's just going to let them battle here.
And this is exposing, I think, the challenge that has been tonight. Weishart's been quicker for a while and gets right up to the rear bumper of the 28. Now he's stuck. Ooh, Weishart all over the back of Beckner. He doesn't have a lot of time. I mean, they're coming down to 13 laps to go. He's got to dispatch this 28 pretty quickly.
I think he'll have to run out of 4 here to swoop under him. I just don't think, oh no, I really thought he'd get a run there, but it seems like this reminded me of Watkins Glen, the way the dirty air works there. You can catch someone from extremely far back, but once you get right behind them, that dirty air is just a force field. He's going to go under that dirty air to the very bottom, and he'll get the run there, but you see, just washes up a little bit too much to get a run.
Makes me sad that dirty air is a thing at Watkins Glen. Didn't used to be the thing.
Makes all of us sad.
Down into turns 3 and 4, coming to 12 laps to go. Weishart quicker mid-corner, but has nowhere to go with it. He's burning up the front tires. You can hear the scrub on the 29.
Gotta wonder when he's gonna try that top line in 1 and 2. It's where it's most prevalent. Not gonna really do it.
And Muntzel.
Now Muntzel went to the top.
Fighting back here, trying a different lane.
Weishart did not lose off the corner that time like he had been. He got to Beckner's bumper just enough to hurt his exit, but look at this run the 6 had got there. Nowhere to go with it. He'll go up to the top again.
And he's just rediscovering that light switch. If you go way up top, you got to watch that yaw that he's got. Knock the right rear quarter panel off the wall, but now he's got a big run And it is working for him here. 10 laps to go next time by. The 6 to the inside.
And you know, exactly what I thought would happen. Weishart's just going to use that as an excuse to go to the very high line. Just doesn't have overlap, but he will get a huge run on Beckner out of turn number 2 to probably get to his inside. Which way is Beckner going to block?
Beckner doesn't block. He lets him get there. But he's gonna pinch him down here to the bottom. And
that's where it can get messy.
Can't maintain that groove, and Munsel's going to wind it up and set it loose down the front stretch here.
See if he goes back to the bottom or just sits in line. Yeah, I think he's just going to let him battle it out.
This is a classic Homestead battle. Top and bottom.
Kind of what we were waiting for.
A little bit, right? I think we thought this would be the whole night, but only in the closing stages with 10 laps to go. Weishart and Beckner battling for second.
Oh, he hit him.
Oh, gloves will come off now.
Beckner will not let him go easily after that. Weishart slid getting back on the throttle after hitting him, but he does still have a run. I think if that Munsell either completely back off or try to get by both of them and just get the heck away.
The latter.
He's going to slot in between them. I think at this point, he's probably protecting Scioli, if anything, separating the two. He gives a shot to a 6 truck.
Weishart doesn't have time to play around with this. This is for second in the championship. This means something. And he lost a lot of ground to Beckner after that.
Yeah, really did. It was a heck of a job by Beckner saving that truck, though. I think Weishart wanted to go to a top side, and because that Beckner was lifting earlier than him, and that they just came together. I really don't think there was anything malicious there. Wow, that's a Larson line.
That is so close to the outside wall, and he's just going to, again, the slingshot down the back. Look at the run. It's about 5-6 miles an hour difference.
Meanwhile, even with all the battling those two have done, Cameron Hearn is still 18 seconds behind that battle for second in a championship.
Yeah, he's not even back in the top 10 yet, and I think he'll get there. He might not, actually. But Weishart, I think the contact that Weishart had with Beckner cost him a shot at second, because that's what allowed the 6 to get around him, and now he's going to struggle to get by both.
Yeah, talking about Hearn, I think he's still fast enough compared to Bronson Stafford in 5 laps. 6 laps, actually, he should get him. But definitely had to try something different. Just obviously didn't pan out the way he hoped.
And again, right back to the bottom, and no one's really making any different speed down there.
Ooh, big wiggle.
It was just strange to me that everyone gets in that outside groove when they're in a fight where they're making all this time, and then as soon as they're not side by side, they go right back to the bottom.
I think it just shows how much it hurts the tires to go up there even for a few laps, because once you go up there, it really heats the tires up, really takes some life off of them. So if you're not battling someone and having to try to pass or defend with that top line, you're not going to be running up there. But Munsell still feeling heat from Weishart. Tries it once again, too high into a wall.
And that opens up the door for Weishart to clear him and reset his sights on the 28. He will have 5 laps to try to run him down, and Munsell just threw his hand up. He's frustrated with himself.
It's 1 and 2 is much more even, much easier to do the very top side. 3 and 4, it's really not even. So it feels like the wall kind of cuts in at your truck or car. And I think he got caught out by that. And battle for second's heated up. Also, the battle for 5th is pretty hot, too.
And Homestead is just one of those places where the higher up the racetrack you run, the faster you go. The closer to the edge you can stick that right rear quarter panel, you're going to find more and more speed. There are tracks where higher isn't going to do you a lot of good once you just get up to that upper groove. I think Chicagoland's one of those. Upper groove is great, but getting you up completely against the wall, I don't think is really worth doing. But here, if you scrape your right rear corner on the outside wall just enough to rub the vinyl off it, you're in the right line.
It's always been the case here. That wall kind of acts like a force field where it kind of keeps you off the wall with the air. And if you can master that, you will master this track and other tracks like it. Scioli hasn't had to do that tonight, but I think one day that line will be dominant if you can master it once again, as Scioli's just under 3 laps away from a championship.
Bronson Stafford running down Tom Bourne for 9th. And just behind this is Cameron Hearn. But unfortunately, it's not going to do Hearn any good. These positions won't gain him any spots in the championship. Don't think that'll stop him, but
It'll boost the stat sheet, if anything, as Scioli takes 2 laps to go.
this strategy just did not work for Cameron Hearn. He probably would have been better off just sticking with everyone else. I don't think he would have won either way, though. I mean, it's just this pace to 7 has no one's been able to match.
Yeah, just wasn't anything he could really do about it. Had to try something, but I think you're right. I think he had a better shot staying on the 2-stop strategy and just wasn't able to make it work, but had to try something. I got to commend him for that, as Scioli it's probably the second most important flag of the night for him.
Well, Scioli passed the start-finish line. The white flag is in the air for James Scioli. This year, his win percentage, 43%. He's going to make that percentage even higher. 14 starts, 6 wins. It's going to be 7 wins in 15 starts for James Scioli. And in his trek to win all 3 of the area series, he didn't do it on Monday, but he will do it on Tuesday. James Scioli gets a 7th win on the season. Truck number 7 wins the championship and the race at Homestead Miami Speedway. Lucky number 7.
Yep, lucky number 7. Beckner once again, second of a champion. Weishart third. Cameron Hearn obviously down in 10th. He will get that top 10 spot. Not going to get 9th from Stafford, but you can't say enough about what Scioli's done this year in all 3 series, as Beckner comes up, even through all their rivalry, comes up to congratulate the driver of the 7. You can only appreciate greatness, and that's what we saw tonight. Weishart gives a congratulatory bump to his driver, and that was just straight up butt whooping. There's no other way to put it. 6 seconds he beat Beckner tonight.
And a pretty popular guy here in the paddock as well. But a butt whooping is about the nicest way you can put it. He absolutely slaughtered him tonight.
Oh, Eric Wineland made it.
He did make it. 16th place, a lap down.
It was a net loss, unfortunately.
Yeah, by 1 spot.
All that.
James Scioli, your champion and your race winner. Oh, there's the 8 sliding into the shot. 7 wins for the 7 truck and wins the title.
Those are your last 2 truck champions right there. The whole David Weishart racing team will come to congratulate him. Not only did they dominate the driver's title of Scioli, but they dominated the team standings as well. And that team title was wrapped up a while ago.
Well, the 7 will celebrate. We'll talk to him here in just a couple of minutes. Here's a look at your race results, though. Your championship 4 all in the top 10, but Hearn just missed the strategy tonight and tried to do something different. It did not work out. Scioli, Beckner, Weishart, Munsell, and Ware, your top 5, Connor.
Yeah, we thought Munsell might be able to stay with the 7. He looked really fast in qualifying. Early on the short run, he was fast, but once he got into dirty air, it just did not have the speed to really compete with those top 3 in the championship. Beckner could not undercut Scioli enough to get in front of him, and Weishart just wore the tires out, sitting behind Beckner to get the runner position. But that is 2 seasons in a row, that Beckner is runner-up to the champion.
Yeah, I'll look down the rest of the order here. Bronson Stafford, 9th in the number 61. Brad Slaughter Jr., disappointing end to his season outside the top 10. Reigning champion, did not get to defend it this year. Eric Wineland tried that strategy. It didn't play out, but that is your finishing order. Let's talk with Cameron Hearn. Finished the race in 10th. Tried something different, Cameron. It didn't work, but no one else that stayed on the strategy with James Scioli was able to beat him either, so there's got to be some consolation in that. But a tough night trying to rebound and play the offense, but just didn't work out.
Yeah, it was tough. The lap 1 incident, I got a 4X in the sim, and I didn't think I had any damage, and everybody said the car was good. I actually had 7 seconds of damage. Don't know how big of effect that really helped or hurt me. You know, James was bad fast. Really don't have anybody else to blame. Qualified terrible. Had a good lap going, just overdid it. Like I said last week, I think James starts up front and gets the front and never comes back, right? So thought if I could get in front of him, qualify good, and maybe have a chance to kind of keep him in dirty air. But hats off to James. This one race format I'm really not a fan of, because you could have something crazy happen, right? But James definitely deserves it. The season he had, I no faults in that. I did some stupid stuff, still made it into the the final round. So all in all, a good season, but definitely just a tough night. The car or the truck really never came to me. Didn't feel comfortable with it. I knew it'd be tough, and a little bit of damage really didn't help the situation. But James bad fast, never had a chance anyways, I don't think.
Well, 4th in the championship, 10th in the race, top 10 to finish off the season. Cameron Hearn, P4. Thanks for chatting and congrats.
And I appreciate it, Kyle. Appreciate Connor. You guys did a hell of a job in the broadcast all season. I didn't give you guys much excitement tonight. So
yeah, what's up with that? We had all that last week. Could have kissed them out tonight.
I was too slow to get to anybody. So when they were passing me, they were on fresh tires, so I really couldn't do anything. So, but didn't want to mess up anybody's race. I drove aggressive tonight, but all in all, look forward to working with you guys next season.
Now wait, Cameron Hearn, P4.
Thank you.
Thanks. David Weishart was 3rd in the championship and 3rd in the race. David, P3 in both the race and the title. I thought you had a shot at 2nd there in the closing moments, but got kind of tangled up there with Justin Munsell. You weren't able to get around Travis Beckner. P3 on the season. You were my pick to win this tonight, but man, that 7 is so fast. Your thoughts on tonight and the season?
Yeah, he's quick. We did some practice, and I knew he was going to be fast on the long run. He always is, and I messed up and qualified 8th and got back up through there. I just needed a yellow to get caught back up. I feel like maybe if I got in front of James, I could have somehow, some way, could have held him off, but it just never came. And then Travis short pitted me there. I was basically just racing for 2nd at that point. He short pitted me on the last stop, and I thought I was going to run him down, and I got to his back bumper and tried to get around him a couple times. Gave him the bumper in 3, and because I felt like he's holding me up, and then I don't know what, I have all the respect in the world for the 6, but just I don't know. I feel like you gotta get out of that battle there, but burnt my tires up with him racing me that hard, and from that point on, it was just concede to finish in 3rd. But all in all, great season, another Final Four. 3 wins, team championship. One of my team drivers won the championship. So congrats to James, congrats to Travis on P2. Yeah, just looking forward to the off season, and not sure what I'll be doing next season, but probably be back in this series for sure. So looking forward to that, and yeah, just ready to take a break.
David Weishart, 3rd in the race and in the championship. David, thank you.
All right, thanks. And before I go, I want to thank Matco Tools and Bobby Tench for sponsoring the team this season. He came in clutch with that. He's dealt with health issues this year and everything else, so hope he's doing real good, and I appreciate him coming on board this season.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
We'll move on now to Travis Beckner, who placed 2nd in the race and 2nd in the championship. And as soon as I can grab him, I run out of Discord space. Here we go. Travis Beckner, 2nd in the race, 2nd in the championship. Nobody had pace to catch Scioli, Travis, but you put yourself in the right place at the right time with the right strategy to come home in 2nd. Runner-up a 2nd year in a row. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I was,
Yeah, buddy! Love you guys!
Oh my God. Yeah, I was hoping a caution would come out there at the end, and never got the caution, but honestly, I'll take a P2 out of the season I've had. Wasn't as good as last year, but still got myself in the championship 4. I mean, not the way I wanted to get in the championship 4, but I had to up on my way to get into here. And yeah, I mean, people really don't like this track. I didn't think it was too bad. Wish it was more multi-groove than it was tonight, but yeah, just overall good season. Congrats to James. Yeah, all I could say, overall good season.
Well, Travis, congratulations on the 2nd. Look forward to seeing you fight again next time around. Congratulations and enjoy it.
Yeah, before I go, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Calusa Pines Landscaping, Rick's Hot Sauce, Celsius Area Shop, Black Buffalo, Holston River Machine, BG Creative, Huckett Films, and everybody at Miller Race in the Championship 4, and everybody that came out this season, the admins, y'all coming out to broadcast this. I love going back and watching the broadcast after the race is over. And hopefully next season we could get it done with the Calusa Pines Landscaping Chevy Silverado.
All right. Thanks, Travis. Congratulations on second.
Thank you.
James Scioli, 7 wins on the season in the number 7 truck. Well, lucky number 7. And tonight, not lucky, but good. Dominated that one, James. It wasn't even really all that close. I think we kind of had a feeling without a yellow flag it was yours to lose, and you didn't lose it. Congratulations. You were trying to do the 3 for this week. You got 1. You got 1 more still hunting on Thursday, but congratulations, man. Dominant run, and almost a 50% win ratio on the season.
Yeah, thank you. This Rick's Hot Sauce South Beach Heat truck, I don't know how we had the long run pace that we did tonight. It just seemed like after about 20 laps or so, I could consistently pull about a 10th a corner and was just flying away. I don't know if you guys caught it on that last run there. I just run the iRacing spotter, and he said something about my water temp, so I opened up the dash. I was looking down at my keyboard trying to open up the dash to make sure that I wasn't blowing up or something, and I knocked the crap out of the wall coming out of turn 4. So luckily, new damage model on the truck. It luckily did not have any effect on the truck because I probably pushed the wall out a couple feet there. So just super happy. DWR killed it all season. We wrapped up the team championship a week or 2 ago, so a huge shout out there. I was hoping David could get up there into second and pass Travis. They were having a pretty good battle there, and yeah, it was just a nice clean race. I was happy to see the long runs and just happy to see the pace that I had on the long run. It definitely feels good after the sting of yesterday, so this was a good one.
Well, tonight seemed like it was a little trickier to pass than perhaps last night was, but anything that you've learned last night or tonight that you can apply to Thursday and hunt for that other championship?
Yeah, I've kind of been able to find a line that I really like on the long run. I found it following Jake in the Cup car, and I think I was even hitting it a little bit better than him some laps in the Cup race, and I just kind of applied it here in the truck as well once the tires started wearing out, and it worked really good. So I think I'm just going to try and do that in the Xfinity car as well. Just need another good qualifying effort. Qualifying is going to be very important. As you said, it was pretty difficult to pass out there, so just going to have to qualify up front, and hopefully we can go 2 for 3.
Your champion in 2023 in the Area Truck Series, James Scioli. Congratulations. Let it soak in.
Thanks, guys. Got to give a huge shout out real quick to Rick's Hot Sauce, South Beach Heat, Code Scioli. Get you $7 off there. Definitely going to celebrate with some of that tonight. A huge shout out to Butt Kicker, Daniels Candles, Chris Sports Cards, and Matco Tools for being on the truck. And hopefully we can get them on Thursday.
All righty, James. Congratulations. We'll talk to you then.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Connor. Finishing things out here for the Area Truck Series. Interesting race, a lot of strategy, not as much side-by-side as I think we were expecting, but finish out a season with, I think, the best truck winning the race, and that's, I guess, at times all you can ask for.
Yeah, we're 2 for 2 on that. I think the guys who have deserved the title have won the title Monday and Tuesday night, and like you said, I think we thought we'd see that top line come in more, but just not enough horsepower, I think, for most trucks. But like you said, end of the day, best driver won. Scioli gets his first Truck Series title and his 10th career Truck Series win, tied at the top for truck wins. Then we got one more race Thursday night. We'll see if those Xfinity cars can get that top line going a little bit more. It's going to be a fun one, and Scioli tries to go 2 for 3 on the season.
One more race for the Area Series this season. It's Thursday night, the Area Florida State Builders Pro Series, 8:40 Eastern. We'll see you there. Congratulations to James Scioli in his 2023 Area Truck Series Championship.